It's Friday, everybody, and it is Amadeus, and I'm Jim, and we're here, and we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. Um, Amadeus, it's been a while since we had a Saturday when there's been so much action coming up. So I'm just going to step back and let you fly into what is coming up here on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a massive weekend. All five power leagues, if you want to call them that, in Europe are back. We have obviously Europe, England, France, and Spain started last week. Today, the German Bundesliga starts up with Werder Bremen versus Bayern Munich to kick us off, and the Italian Serie A will start tomorrow as well. They don't have a Friday match to start it off. Everything's really go. Most of the games are going tomorrow on Saturday, but yeah, it's going to be a massive weekend for sure. And especially in the Premier League, we have some pretty good matchups here to look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, coming right out of the box, that's I mean, it's just like sensory overload, right? I mean, it's like, wow, we've been going here for a while and nothing's happening, and now we can't go anywhere without it. This is we've got it's like Christmas morning in the middle of August.
Yeah, and that's just Europe alone, right? We didn't even talk about the fact that we got the Leagues Cup final tomorrow, plus the MLS back on Sunday, and then my Brazilian league is still going on during the weekends, and even next week. So obviously we know Champions League and Europa League and all those will be starting in Europe soon, but we got the quarterfinals of the Copa Libertadores and Sudamericana going this midweek, so it's very action packed for sure. August is the month. Everything starts coming back, and now we're just overloaded.
And that's a good thing. Now, from your standpoint, right? You've got all these cool things going on. How do you pick what you want to you know to pass on to your followers?
Yeah, so the big thing I think when there's a lot like this is to really you gotta hone in and focus on a certain amount. Like you can't handicap everything. You can try to, but you're not going to get the same results just because it's so much. And to look over every single game, 10 plus games in like 20 different leagues, it's just too much, right? So definitely. I'm going to focus mainly on the Power Five, and then for these smaller leagues, I'll watch a lot of them just because I want to know the teams for Champions League and Europa League. But when it comes to handicapping the actual domestic leagues, I'll probably myself stick to Turkey, Belgium, and Bulgaria this year, just because those are the three small leagues that I feel the most comfortable with. And yeah, other than that, I'll probably just be watching. I won't be betting. Just watching the Austria, Portugal, Swiss things like that to get ready for the Champions League and the Europa League, and obviously the European competitions. But yeah, definitely you want to hone down, and with the power leagues too, right? Like you don't have to necessarily look into every game, because when you know the teams as well as someone like myself knows. Obviously, if you follow and keep up and you have that knowledge, then it's very easy to go through the card and you can pick out games that, right? Like there's sometimes there's just teams where it's like, I want nothing to do with that game, right? Just skip on to the next one. And you can also kind of pick out the gems, right? Like you can see, ooh, that's a really good game. Definitely going to want to look into that one a little further. So that's mainly how I'm going to approach the season.
You know, excuse me. The thing that I would think, and as someone who watches, all sports, but it's like from my standpoint, when people are asking me to evaluate what a team is, whether they're good, bad, or whether otherwise, I just say, look, I the first week I can't tell you anything. I just can't. I mean, I've watched some of, maybe I'll see some preseason, like we'll use NFL football. I've seen some preseason football. Maybe I've read some stuff from people I respect out of camp and that sort of thing. Or I'm watching a baseball game or whatever, and you sit there and you go, look, give me, give me a week or two so I can get a feel for what's, if there's a trend or something going on. Because the first week, you really, I mean, there's just too many unknowns, and you don't want to. And Steve, obviously, I'm not someone who picks games for folks to wager on. But so I wouldn't want that responsibility to say, look, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have to take a pass on this until give me a week to get a feel for what this team really is, because I know what it looks like on a roster, but I don't know what it looks like on field. And so yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to do to kind of cut down uh, the team. I mean, obviously, that some of these teams are super teams when they come back, but they're not. They're not yet. How many times have they even practiced? And in some cases, they've been adding players who haven't even practiced maybe 2 or 3 times. So it makes it difficult of it from that standpoint.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Normally, in most sports, I hate wagering on the first game or the first week, just because, as you said, there's so many unknowns and uncertainties. Now, soccer's a bit of a different sport, in my opinion, just because a lot of these teams, they play so many matches throughout the year, and then they play through the off season as well, and right, so they're signing new players, and they're trying them out with some of the experienced players. As we saw, these Premier League teams that came and did the summer series. Now, not all the time you're going to get starting players in those games, but I think definitely from a soccer standpoint, I find it much easier to look at a team at the beginning of the season and say, okay, this is going to be a good team. They made the right moves in the transfer window versus they made the wrong team moves. Now, in other sports, I totally agree with you there. Like some of these football and basketball, as you said, a lot of times they're trading away players and they're signing new guys. And these guys really, they don't play in the off season. Their last game was if they didn't make the playoffs, it was in the regular season. If they did make the playoffs, their last playoff game was their last game. And then they're not doing anything with each other for the entire offseason, really, up until now. Obviously, the NFL has training camps and things like that, but a lot of that's more for the rookies and obviously the younger guys trying to make the team. So yeah, the way I look at that is and really these guys, they stop at the end of the season and they have a good solid few months where they don't play with each other at all, and then they just come back, and the first time you see them together is in the preseason, where nobody's really giving a full effort. So 100%. A lot of times in basketball and football, you see these teams, these good teams, get out to a bit of a rocky start, which obviously will correct in the middle of the year. But yeah, definitely, it's always uncertainty and some unknowns in that first week/game of the season.
Yeah, and kind of dovetailing on that, right? We are going to have a Leagues Cup game tomorrow night, Nashville and Inter Miami, where Lionel Messi hasn't been with a team a month yet, and we've seen the impact not just of Messi, but the mates that he was able to bring with him, and so that's yet another light from a wagering standpoint, where you suddenly say, okay, wait a minute, they added this guy, and this guy was the X factor in getting them beyond. I mean, they're literally playing. They were at the bottom of the table. They still are at the bottom of the table in the MLS. They have a chance on tomorrow night to take home a very prestigious in this regard. And I know that when we started talking about the Leagues Cup, we both thought that the Mexican teams would be at least one of them would end up in the finals. And here we got Nashville and Inter Miami, and an Inter Miami team that has had Lionel Messi on there for for less than a month, and they're they just have been if it's like a juggernaut. I mean, they just can't. They've been dominant.
Yeah, and again, this is why I think soccer is a bit of a different sport in that respect, because you have this superstar talent that comes to your league, and he brings a few friends, and they turn a team that had awful defense and was at the bottom of the MLS table in less than a month. They've turned them into all of a sudden a team that's just leagues above everybody else. And right now, every game Miami has played reminds me of when Arsenal came in and smashed the MLS All-Stars, because that's the kind of level of play you have going up against. And obviously, we've seen it. We saw a not full starting lineup of Arsenal destroy what the MLS deemed a team of our best players in the league. So between that result and what Messi's doing over at Miami, I think it speaks volumes of the talent in the MLS. And that's why Messi's able to just come in, and in less than a month, they have the best team. Now, obviously, we know they're not going to win the Supporter Shield, because at this point in the season, it is way too late considering where they are. But could they slip into the 9th playoff spot if they continue to just catch fire in the MLS the way they have in this Leagues Cup? Absolutely, they could go on a run, and you could very well see Miami win the MLS Cup this year,
which would be wild. That would definitely be wild to see it done. I know that
I definitely think you need to consider them in the U.S. Open Cup. I know they're playing Cincinnati in the semifinal, but the fact that they got that far in the competition without Messi, and now he's going to be joining for basically this final stretch, just the semifinal and the finals. They got a dangerous team. They could come home with multiple trophies this year.
Wouldn't that be wild? That would absolutely be wild. From your standpoint, as we get started here with all the different leagues, do you wait for a while before making any preseason predictions as to who your top 2 or 3 teams are, or is that something you feel comfortable doing just with your research?
For soccer, definitely, I feel pretty comfortable with where I'm at now. It's very early in the season to call as well, but if you ask me, Manchester City is not winning the Premier League title this year, just from what I've seen in their first 3 matches. Now, they're a very different team when Kevin De Bruyne is not 100%, and I think they're a team where if he's a guy that's going to, because he's still dealing with a hamstring injury that really he picked up at the end of last season, and so he had all that time off in the off season to heal. And, he didn't play really in that Community Shield. He came in as a sub in that Community Shield match. They ended up losing the Community Shield. They smashed Burnley in a match he started, a match he was subbed out after 20 minutes when he re-aggravated his injury. So, smashing newly promoted Burnley side 3-0 doesn't move the needle. I look at the way they performed against Arsenal in the Community Shield. That was a trophy they could have brought home with one match. Didn't do it. I look at the way they played Sevilla in the UEFA Super Cup the other day. That was a match they could have brought home a trophy. They brought it home. But, a 1-1 draw against the Sevilla side that got worse in the transfer window and really was one of the worst teams. Even though they won Europa League last year, they were almost relegated at one point in La Liga. They were at the bottom of the table. So it's a team that was on a turnaround, but still not a great team. Man City should have won that in the regulation. So I look at these things and I say, this is a team, especially with the competitiveness of the Premier League this year, they're going to struggle a lot. So, yeah, in some of these leagues, I can definitely, have a good idea of what I think. Like I said, I think Chelsea is going to be a better team in the Premier League. But at the same time, you do need to wait, because just because I have a feeling that Liverpool and Chelsea will probably improve this season, they still need to put it on the pitch. And we've seen many times, that's why the games are played. And because if it was up to the paper, we know who's winning. But the paper is not, set in stone.
Oh, that's true. it's funny. Just before the I came on today, I was listening to Tim Brando. Tim is a broadcaster who I've worked with, and who's a very good guy. He did CBS Sports for many years, and now is with Fox as a play-by-play guy. And Brando was talking about he was talking about college football, which he'll be starting here in a few weeks. And he was saying that he was asked about what he thought of the 20, the preseason 25 games. They might as well just rip it up and throw it away. He said, because he said, he goes, how easy is it to put down chalk? He goes, nobody's thinking of anything. He says, Alabama could be a 4-4 team after 8 games. He goes, they don't have a quarterback yet. They said, yet, they're ranked the number 4 team in the country. He said, Michigan still doesn't know what they're going to do. They're number 2. He said, I'll give Georgia for the moment, because there's no reason not to. But and I think the same thing happens in soccer and other sports, where the brand names get automatically, they just go like, okay, well, let's just put these guys in there because, well, they always win, and now, because of the parity in so many of these leagues, they don't always win. I mean, hell, the New York Yankees are in last place. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, and the Orioles are leading that division.
Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought that?
Yeah. I don't think that even the most diehard Oriole fan would have thought that.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering if you had told an Orioles fan at the beginning of the season that their team was going to win the division. I wonder what they would have said.
They probably would have breathalyzed you. The thing that fascinates me is that if you'd have told them they're going to have a 500 season, or for that matter, just having fun, that to me was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just kind of like, okay, cool, we're getting there. But because the Orioles fans, they're very passionate, but they haven't been rewarded much lately, and so now that they're in that category, we're just waiting to see how that works out. But I will say this: they have this thing which is kind of weird. It's clever, but you have to want to be in the section. I don't know if you've seen this, but they have what they call the bird bath, and it's a guy, because it can get pretty hot and steamy here in the area, right on the coast here, and there's a section where you can sit there, and what happens is every time the Orioles, score a run, this guy has a hose and he literally just soaks a big swath of fans. Now, if I have my hot dog and soda or nachos and beer or whatever your choice is of food, and I'm sitting there and getting drenched because I wanted to sit in this section, then that's on me. But if I accidentally, if I happen to buy a ticket and end up in that section, I think that might be a bit of a problem. But no, they're drawing well, and people are coming. Hell, people are even coming out to see the race. So it's an upside down thing, and you got the 2 teams that spend usually the most money, the Red Sox and the Yankees at the bottom of that division. So who knows what's going on?
Even the Mets, who have one of the highest payrolls in all of baseball, are doing terrible. So there you go, and it just goes to show you, the money doesn't always mean you're the best.
No, and you brought up a good point yesterday, and that was that the Mets knew the right time to jettison, the parts that were not going to help them. 2 aging pitchers, with big contracts, left town, and they got some good return on some young players. because they realized, okay, wait a minute, we can keep these guys on our team. We're not going to the playoffs. So why don't we jettison, Verlander and Scherzer and get something for them as opposed to keeping them Ohtani and not getting anything. So that was a very wise move on their part, and it won't. I mean, they got a lot of dead presidents there. There's a lot of money they still owe Verlander and Scherzer, but at the end of the day, their chances of getting back to winning are probably much better at that point. But it's been a crazy year because there are teams. I mean, the Dodgers, of course, are where the Dodgers normally are, but we've talked about some of those teams that have disappointed us, and there are many of those. Let's take a quick look, real quick. This is the NFL preseason games. I'm just putting them out there for the folks who want to know what's going on. Tonight, the Panthers and the Giants are going to play in New York. It'll be the Bengals and the Falcons. That game being played in Atlanta. Saturday night, we got a 1 o'clock game. It's on the NFL Network. This is the NFL Network triple header for this week, and that is 1 o'clock. You got the Jaguars kicking off at Detroit. You got the Dolphins at the Texans, and that's the 4 o'clock game on the NFL Network. The alternate game on the network, which will also be played later in the day, is the Bills and the Steelers. That game kicks off at 6:30 p.m. in Pittsburgh. Also, an NFL Network game, the Bears at the Colts. That's a 7 p.m. kick. 7:30, the Buccaneers and the Jets. 8 o'clock, the Patriots and the Packers. Also 8 o'clock, Titans and Vikings. Also 8 o'clock, Chiefs and Cardinals. Your Cardinals are get to go to the Chiefs come to play them in the desert. You've got an 8:30 game with the Broncos and San Francisco to play the 49ers. The Raiders are at the Rams in LA. There's probably going to be more Raiders fans in SoFi Stadium than there will be Rams fans. And the fourth game of the day on the NFL Network is going to be the Cowboys at the Seahawks, and that's your Saturday list. Sunday list, NFL Network 7:05 kick. Saints at the Chargers. So basically, SoFi is going to be busy this weekend. And Monday night on ESPN is the first Monday night preseason game, and that'll be the Ravens versus the Washington Commanders. So that's your preseason action as we know it for this week. So there you go. A lot going on there. Today we have one game underway, by the way, in Major League Baseball, and it's top of the first. Kansas City Royals are in town to play the Cubs. Everything else, there's a 4:10 game today because it's a doubleheader between the Tigers and the Guardians. Scoble is pitching for Detroit. Williams is pitching for Cleveland. That's in game one. Game two, the Tigers have Manning on the mound, and Curry will get the ball for Cleveland. 6:40 games tonight. Blue Jays Reds. That's an Apple TV game. Phillies and Nationals. That game is in DC, and it's a 7:05 first pitch. That game is this is the game. The Red Sox Yankees is the other Apple TV game. That's a 7:05 pitch, first pitch. 7:20 is the Giants and the Braves. I didn't have pictures for the others, but I'll give you these. The Giants can throw Alex Cobb. Strider gets the ball for Atlanta. The Brewers and the Rangers. Woodruff gets the ball for the Brewers. Haney, gets the ball for Rangers. Mariners, Astros, Miller. One of the Millers.
That's our guy.
Yep. Miller gets the ball for the Mariners. Houston goes with France. Pirates at the Twins. Jackson for the Buccos, and Lopez for Minnesota. I got a TBD for the Mets.
I
And
got
Tom.
Lucchesi.
Okay, well, all right. He hasn't been bad. Thompson for the Cardinals. Kopech for the White Sox. 8:40 game. They are in Colorado to play the Rockies. Lambert on the hill for your Colorado Rockies. Rangers A's. Ramirez gets the ball for the depleted Tampa Bay Rays pitching staff. Anderson is on the hill for the Halos. Orioles, the aforementioned Orioles, 9:40 start for them against the Athletics out in Oakland. I got Gibson, but I don't have an Oakland pitcher.
I got Medina for the Athletics.
Okay, Medina for the Athletics. Okay, Padres D-backs. I don't have an Arizona pitcher. Okay, but I got Seth Lugo pitcher for the Padres.
So for the Diamondbacks, it'll be rookie Brandon Pfad.
Oh, okay. Pfad at 0-6.
Yeah.
Oh, it just popped up. 0-6 with a 6.91 ERA.
Yeah, he hasn't been good.
Yeah, isn't it? Sandy Alcantara is going to be getting the ball for the Marlins tonight, and Gosling gets the ball for the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine, and that's a 10-10 first pitch. So that's your baseball for this evening, and obviously those teams will be playing each other for the entire weekend. So
okay, what were those early ones you needed pitchers on? I got them.
Oh, I don't think anybody cares now.
All right.
Okay, all right. What we got here? Good news. League Cup is over soon. Most corrupt competition I've ever watched. They wanted all Mexican clubs out clearly.
Yeah, Foxy, don't even get me started on that. Obviously they want Messi to win it, and obviously he can't run into a Mexican club because the Mexican club is going to win that match. I know how you feel. I had Monterrey to win that match. Absolute trash. They were the better team. They absolutely outplayed Nashville.
But I mean, they did play that first game, right? With it against a Mexican side, and it was a close game the whole way through. But that was the only one they played. They didn't play a Mexican team the rest of the way through. I'm talking about
and Cruz Azul was a team that had lost like 6 straight coming into the tournament, so they had just fallen completely out of form.
And they basically, they got that late goal to win.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly. I mean, they definitely played better against the MLS teams than they did against Cruz Azul.
Yeah, Jim, the late goal that they needed 2 extra minutes on top of the 2 minutes of added time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or basically, let's play till Messi scores. Is the way the game was.
Well, that's what it felt like, because there was only 2 minutes of stoppage time, and we're sitting there in like the 95th minute,
right,
lining up this free kick, and I'm like, wait a minute, it seems like we've played a little too much here. But
so where was it? Yeah, where was the official timekeeper? It's like, and that's always been something that's absolutely I can't fathom. Is that you're sitting there going, it's just a situation where you're sitting there going, wait a minute, who is? I know he's keeping the time, but how can the clock say 6 minutes of stoppage time, and 9 minutes in you're still playing? It's like it doesn't. It's like if the referee doesn't, know that 6 minutes, maybe he should start his watch again at 6 minutes, or what it is. But or maybe what about it? What would it be like if, like in basketball or in football or or in hockey, where you actually have a clock ticking down the time? Would that work in soccer?
I don't see. That's the thing is, I don't know if they would ever probably entertain that thought. Basically, it's more equivalent to if you took the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
how the clock runs during, like, I know it stops sometimes if the ball goes
Sure.
out of bounds. There's different rules, but let's just say that as the clock is running, before the quarterback snaps the ball and he's running the time down, basically it's, imagine if they added up all that time and decided to throw it at the end of the NFL game.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah. And, a lot of the time when they calculate the time in soccer, first of all, I'm desensitized to it at this point because I see it all the time where it's like 6 minutes.
So you're used to it by now.
Where it's like 6 minutes, the match is tied, the home team is pressuring, and we're in like the 9th minute because they've hit like 3 posts already, and the ref is basically just saying, score a goal already and I'll end the match. So it happens, really, it happens all the time. It's a tough one. Obviously, the Premier League is trying to tackle the time wasting this year the same way that the FIFA World Cup was doing it. So that's why so far in that first week of Premier League, we've seen a lot of like 9-minute stoppage time, 10-minute stoppage time. And so pretty much that's what they're doing, Jim, is they're sitting there, and every time the ball goes out for a throw in or something, out for a goal kick, they're literally sitting there and timing how much time is being taken off the clock, and they're adding it back at the end of the game. So they actually are doing that in some leagues now.
In some places, it can be found. So, okay, I was just curious whether or not something like that might might work.
And a lot of the times too, I've seen because that's the thing, is we'll get into the stoppage time, and then a player will go down right away for like 5 minutes, and they used to just, they would keep it 7-minute stoppage time, but we all knew, there was an injury, the ref is going to let them play another 2-3 minutes. Now I've actually seen them update the time a few times. Like they'll actually change the +7 to a +12. They're letting the players know, we're adding those 5 minutes back, so we're counting every second now. So you better, just play the game.
Yeah, get back and don't. It's one of those things where you get back and the official's going, you can lay there for 3 minutes, but I'm adding it all on. So.
Yeah, pretty much. They're sitting there with the time, with the stopwatch now.
Right.
Like, all right, as soon as you get up.
Yep, I'm starting this clock. I don't care what you do. But yeah, it's been a very weird situation in that regard. From how from how you figure out how the end of the game is, but it seems to me, at least from what some of the things I've seen, where you're just sitting there looking and going, wait a minute. A team will be charging, for a potential tying goal or winning goal, right? And if for some reason the keeper stops it or it gets, the guy takes a shot and goes over the goal, it goes, off the pitch. Then the next ball, is the ball, the ball's kicked down the field or the the keeper goes and punts it down the field. Basically, they, that's when they call the game. They don't usually call it when somebody is, mounting a charge on a potential score.
Yeah, and you know what? That a lot of that.
I'm okay with that. By the way, well. I'm okay with that. I mean, that's like, okay. Let them have that minute.
Yeah, 100%. But it's it's all up to the ref as well, because I've seen a lot of times where a team will be doing that. They'll pressure, and then they earn a corner kick, and the ref is just like, "Screw you guys, this game's over. No time for the corner."
Like, what?
Yeah, and the players always complain. I think it even happened in the World Cup. Actually, I was in the group stage. It happened to South Korea, I believe. They had that corner kick right at the end of the match where they could, I think, tied it. I'm not sure if it was against Ghana or Portugal, but yeah, they were absolutely livid that they didn't get that corner kick, because I think the ref even called it like 5 seconds before the actual stoppage time. So there was plenty of time to take the corner kick. So it's all discretion of the ref.
Right. And speaking of which, we didn't get to um, it. Is I don't want to preempt your picks of the weekend, but is one of your picks of the weekend going to be the Women's World Cup champion, or is that something that you're not getting into?
You know what? I probably won't have a play on it just because I gave out Spain to win the World Cup or the Women's World Cup in an article. So just you
So
know,
you're sticking with them?
people know what I'm on. It's Spain, so
Okay,
might as well ride it to the finish here. But
there you go.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know they're having the constellation match tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. But yeah, Australia still has a chance to win a medal. They could take home the bronze. So
You know, I think that it's really important that you just brought that up because in American sports, for some reason, that third place means nothing. But in every other country, to make the podium, as it were, is so important. And so that game is meaningful to the two sides that they're going to play. And you got to think that if Australia could pull off a win there, that would be icing on the cake for them.
yeah, definitely. And it wouldn't shock me to see that one get sold out too, because like even though it's a consolation match, you
Mhm.
know, this Australia, the Matildas are making history in this tournament. So why
Right.
not cap it off with a bronze medal when you have a chance? And the same thing happened in the Men's World Cup. We saw Croatia and Morocco. Obviously, Morocco was making history as well in that World Cup, but Croatia had the better team through and through,
Mhm.
and they weren't great because they did play. They were good in the World Cup, but their attack really struggled. They did play that more defensive style, and they were very good defensively. But yeah, once that bronze medal match came, they obviously played a lot looser. They didn't focus so much on the defense, and they blew up and scored 3 goals, 3-1, and they just came out and they shattered Morocco. So definitely, I think there's going to be motivation on both sides for sure. Australia, I think, will still have a very strong home advantage with the crowd behind them. I don't see why they wouldn't show up to see them possibly win a bronze medal. And yeah, so we'll see. Sweden is a very good team, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are sitting there going, if we could just see Australia get through. But I agree with you. I think 100% they're going to be uh, big time in the big time in wanting to win the game and get that third place. It's going to be, and you got to imagine that how up can you know I lost my train of thought. I apologize. It's just a matter of how up could they be for that game. They're going to be psyched way up there. So I think it's going to be fun. It'll be a fun game, and I wish it's not if it's at 4 a.m. in the morning. I'll watch the highlights. But that and I think that unfortunately has been a problem for what's going on in viewership. The U.S. got some good numbers, but then it kind of fell off the radar once the U.S. came out, and so these games have not drawn as well as they should have.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, we'll see what happens. That one's at 4 a.m. in the morning, so if you want to get up and watch the bronze, it's there. It's there to watch.
There you go, and we hope that you take the time to pick up in that. If you're an early riser, it certainly doesn't hurt to do that. It's a Saturday, maybe you can catch some sleep. There's not going to be, of course. Then again, a lot of these Premier League games start early as well, so you could, not 4:30 early, but by the time the Women's World Cup is winding down, you can be starting to watch something else in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. That 4 a.m. match will probably finish by 6, and the first Premier League usually kicks off around like 7:30. But there are other European matches that go off at 6. I know Turkey has some 5 a.m. matches, so you can definitely if you wake up for that 4 a.m. There's tons of soccer to get you all the way through. And then obviously, there's North American soccer as well in the afternoon with the Leagues Cup final, and the Brazilian goes all the way to 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, you could literally have a 12-hour day of soccer.
Well, I think the Leagues Cup, I think that starts at 9.
Yeah, that's there's they I actually am not sure. I haven't checked when that one starts, but
Here, I will check real quick, but I'm almost positive it's 9.
I thought I saw the two match. They were having the consolation match at the same time though, which didn't understand. I didn't understand because nobody's gonna watch Philadelphia Monterrey if Messi's playing at the same time.
Right. That makes no sense. Then again, we're not in charge. Okay. Leagues Cup finals.
Okay, so they're not at the same time. Actually, I think I have it here.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, so I think it's 6 o'clock for the Philadelphia Monterey consolation, and it's 9 o'clock for Nashville.
It's 6 p.m. Philadelphia, Montreal. I'm sorry, Monterey, and then the champions at 9 o'clock. So there you go. That's your soccer for the. So yeah, you could have you could watch. You could start at 4 a.m. You can watch the Premier League. You can watch some games in the afternoon. Maybe switch over and watch a little preseason football or some baseball, and then catch up again with Philly Monterey at 6, followed by the Messi show at 9. So that'll take you all the way up to almost midnight. So you can plan your day and not and sleep all Sunday because you'll need that. You'll need to rest after that. But yeah, it's pretty good deal. So let's what do we have? Foxy got something for us here. Spain and England to win the women's biggest payout for Spain, but obviously hope England wins. Why is it a bigger payout for Spain?
They were the bigger dog at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's talking about, and I was in the the amount of cash that each team received. I was in the wrong part of what we were talking about on that one.
Yeah. No, he obviously wants England to win because he's English, but if Spain wins, he's cashing a larger bet, so he's happy about that.
He can buy his English friends a pint.
Exactly, it's a win-win for Foxy.
Well, you're on Spain too, so England. England is.
Yeah,
very
I know.
good.
Rye Cave is also on Spain. He tailed me on that
Really?
one. So yeah. So I mean, hey, if Spain wins, me, Rye Cave, Foxy, we're all cashing here. So I'm hoping for a Spain win here in Women's World Cup.
There you go. I mean, that good on them. It's just like let everybody on Spain. Let's take it down. All right. So there you go. All right. Cool. Let's talk about where we can find your content, my friend.
Yeah, you can get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I have 8 plays up today, 4 in the MLB. I have 2 in the Copa de la Liga for Argentina later. And I also have 1 in the Premier League that's about to start and 1 in the Liga 1, which will start in 15 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. Well, and they all can be found in the show box below. So, check it out, my friends. Check out his stuff right there. Well, tell you what, we've had a fun Friday, and we'll be back again on Monday. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Hope you all are smart enough to follow my friend here and take Spain, and then check out his other picks so that you, Foxy, and the rest of the world can have a nice and profitable weekend. So until that time. Any last words, Amadeus, before we get out of here on a Friday?
Oh, in the great words of Rye Cape, let's cash some tickets.
Yep, that'll be a good one. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We've enjoyed having you with us, and we will be back on Monday. Take care.